we will be spectating Toikan and FTQ against Julian and Enemy. Let me just get into that. Maybe we're a bit late, but we should be around the start of wave 1. So we'll get into the game very soon. We have the scaling done here. We'll only miss to have the little boxes. Okay, wave 1 has just started here. We do have the start here. We have king ups on Toikan and FTQ. Windhawk start not punished against Toikan, and FTQ with the Fire Archer start can be very good. We have the Bounty Hunter start on Julian, and Enemy did receive a snail here as well as the Bounty Hunter, meaning that this will be a leak from the Gate Guard player, 4 creeps only leaking. So that is 4 additional stacks for the Bounty Hunter. So we'll bring up the overlay for you. Here you go. And now you see everything going on. Alright, so we do have in the end practically equal gold, only a 5 gold differential on both teams. That's because of the Snell also from FTQ and the fact that Julian is playing YOLO. So in total 5 in difference, the 1 income bonus does nullify 1 of the gold given by the Snell, but equal gold on both sides, equal workers on both sides. So the league are not as crucial in the early game as one might expect. So we do have the snail resend here onto the steed from enemy and gate guard. So this should be a hold here. The shared aggro between the doggo and the steed. Now the steed taking full aggro, giving more time for a second summon on the gate guard. Steed dying, but will it be a leak? No, it should be alright here. The third summon should be coming if everything is fine. And yeah, it will come. Yeah, it is coming, and so we have a hold here. We have also a hold on the other side. No resends whatsoever to speak of. The wave 6 sends are to come. FTQ at 6 workers as a fire archer start should be. You will receive from Julian a lizard, and that might speak some trouble for him because the best he can do is the washroom. I like this adaptation from FTQ, but I don't like the positioning from the washroom. I would much prefer it on the second column, just for better aggro in the later round. So that means that yes, we will split, but some goes on the fire archer and this one goes into the middle. Now this fire archer is a bit too exposed with this positioning. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, the washroom still goes in the middle, and I mean, it does the same job. I must admit that it does the exact same job as if it was in the middle. So, I mean, nice of FTQ to spot this, and then he can put potentially a better tank in front. So the snail and the lizard are not enough to leak FTQ. He will be able to push some more workers. We do have the leak from the bounty hunter player to a brute. And that's despite receiving a 20 on 1, so Toikan using the early push of the Windhawk as best he can. He did have the cat as well, and only received... He's the one receiving the Phoenix. Yeah, okay, so not punished by a brute here. That could have been a leak to a brute, but deciding to go for income instead. And we do have the worker lead from Toikan and FTQ due to the league, due to their builds, strong waves, and the amount of Mythium they received as well. So the cat's pretty good. He does have the Seraphim for next wave also. Seraphim will be in the split though, but with the position of the cat, almost nothing goes onto this Seraphim. You have the third Fire Archer. Potentially the Crusher is to come on one of those sides. Don't know if you place it on the split or you place it on the side of the washroom, honestly. Not the one who is the most familiar with that build, but I do think that placing it in the split could be better to protect this Fire Archer and still allow this washroom to tank some of the wave. But the 60 cents here can be brutal, but with the Serpent and the Bounty Hunter, they will be able to push some more workers, but FTQ is the one benefiting for a lot of workers, as well as Toikan, receiving a 40 here yet again. They both are at 8 workers, enemy at 8 workers, and Julian is staying at 7 workers. That's just the innate weakness of the Bounty Hunter, you are not always able to push as much as the others, but he's deciding to push 8 workers anyhow, and that is quite risky, especially on wave 5. But he does have the infiltrator nonetheless here, and he's not the weakest on the next wave. He just needs to ensure either the Coiler or the Orchid, especially since he doesn't receive anything here on that wave. They do go for income again, but FTQ at 9 workers did not go for the Crusher here. Let's see if this is enough to leak him. This Fire Archer is taking a lot of beating. Yes, the front line is still there, but this Fire Archer is still getting the same amount of punishment. And the lizard is attacking the washroom here, so it's not too bad. Most of the wave is on the washroom now. It will be a small leak from the Fire Archer of FTQ, but he is at 10 workers. Toikan is at 9 workers, while Julian, 10 workers on Toikan and FTQ, 8 workers on Julian and enemy. That is more time for the 10 workers. That's going to be a heavy punishment on either wave 6 or wave 7. And FTQ decides to go for here with the double brute, I do believe. Does he get them before income? It does look like it will be before income, and Toikan only going for income, predicting the Orchid, but the Quarter is coming, meaning that these DTs are potentially just food. But still, Julian is he's not that bad in value, but considering the amount of Mythium that Toikan can do, that is quite bad, potentially because of this Bounty Hunter not being that great here. Yes, it's a good tank here on the work, but luckily for him, Toikan is not full pushing, so Julian needs to be edging his bets and only push 1 worker and prepare for next wave. He must not push 2 workers. The resend is obvious to come. He needs to read that one for resend from FTQ to be similar from the one of Toikan. And so he needs to realize that there's some potential Mythium missing here. But enemy will leak here, but not that bad because he has the Quarter. So 2 Brutes and a Roko, while on the side of Julian we have a full hold. There will be some king damage, but it will not be lethal. It won't be problematic, shall I say. FTQ leaking as well here, but it's a similar percentage. If we see the percentage is a little bit bigger on FTQ. But yeah, Julian pushing 2 workers, so he is susceptible to those 2 brutes that are coming. But he will be able to send a brute again on FTQ, while enemy is able to send 2 brutes on Toikan, trying to punish the Dutchman from the long save. But let's see how the builds are looking on the side of Toikan and FTQ. So Toikan does have the Nekomata, vulnerable to brutes, so a very nice send from enemy. I don't see Toikan doing very well on that wave. He does have 236 gold, and the best he can do is, well, under the cat, which is not ideal, of course. So that's exactly what he's going to do. That will not be a fully stacked cat, but can still do pretty well. 26 going to extend the split, very good. Canopy going on from FTQ should be enough to be holding here. 1 brute and 1 lizard onto him can still be brutal. But Julian receiving 2 brutes on his side, and as we discussed, he is looking a bit worse on that side. Yes, he is undervalued, not by a lot, so he might still have a chance. The Bounty Hunter already dying, the Quarter taking a lot of beating and attacked by one of the brutes, meaning that it cannot clear as easily as it should. But it will clear most of the wave, while on the other side, the Dino DT resend is not able to leak enemy, so enemy potentially holds here. We do have a massive leak on Toikan, 89% NFQ leaking again, not being able to cover for Toikan. So there's the punishment of the long save and the heavy push from Toikan and FTQ. And this is minimal king damage, while on the other side, it is very big king damage with the 4 brutes attacking the king. Brutes in the early game do massive damage to the king, and that's what we are seeing right now. Two brutes are remaining now, and the 2 are still doing a lot of beating onto the king, and it will result into a 35% HP king, 34 from Toikan and FTQ. So income coming for Toikan, FTQ potentially going for full king ups here. He has the worker. He had the worker lead, but now due to the leak and the constant resets, enemy was able to catch up in workers, and Julian was falling a little bit behind. But that's because of the nature of his build. And so Toikan going for the region, but FTQ saving, trying to punish a weak wave of enemy, realizing that he might be a little bit ahead of the curve right now. So the Dino can be problematic here, but he has a decent front line to give time for his quota to kill most of the wave. So that's supposed to be a hold here from Julian. And the two lizards and the DT addition from Julian onto FTQ can potentially leak him here because he doesn't have much of a front line, and the damage behind it is only Fire Archer. So not the best damage on wave 8 because of the slow attacks. And yes, it's Pierce, but if it doesn't have its spell, then it is pretty lackluster, and it is indeed another leak from FTQ. A bit too pushed for doing a save onto enemy here, but that is more time. That is more time for the 14 workers to work. But Julian catching back up at 14 workers, and we do have the Ogre coming out on wave 9 against enemy, which potentially will do the Harbinger, or if he wants to be fancy, he will go for the Holy Avenger. So let's see what he decides to do. He goes for the Harbinger. And so the Ogre does make a lot of sense here. No real frontline here. But let's see. He does go for the split with the Royal Guard. But the Ogre will go towards the main wave here. Enemy going for some income plus king ups. Looking at the values, looking pretty strong on values, close to value. We have overvalue from Julian. Will be able to greet some more stacks onto the Kingpin. And I don't think he gets it for 10. Yeah, he might get it for wave 11 and get Venture. But we'll see. Yeah, doing the Lioness not the optimal play, but he needed a tank, and so it's perfectly reasonable. So you're preventing a bit of. I didn't want. I mean, it's not a bad play. Like it's a tank. You know that you will upgrade it above it. And oh, looks like the Ogre was pushed to the split because of the Brute addition, and that's one of the reasons that sometimes adding a mercenary is not always the best choice. Potentially going for a tank here could have avoided that situation and could have killed the Harbinger a little bit sooner. So a bit lucky on enemy that the Ogre was pushed on the split onto the nature defense here. So in the end, turned out very good for enemy here, being able to push 18 workers. And Julian going for the Kingpin here. He wants to get that venture going. So spending the gold here, be able to shift a bit more gold on the future wave. He is a 1560 value. So that is a very good step to getting venture. We have the resend here from FTQ on enemy, allowing enemy to take venture. And that venture might be a bait here, because enemy not looking the strongest on wave 12, and he doesn't have any units that allows him to be good on wave 12. So he might shy away from the venture still. It all depends on when he decides to income sends, and yeah, if he decides to push workers. So we have Toikan deciding to send here on 11, trying to prevent Julian from doing the venture, and he's not going venture. So this works for FTQ and Toikan. We do have the villain coming from Julian, and I don't think the venture will come from enemy either. He pushed worker, and he realized that wave 12 is potentially one of his weak ways. They want to protect it by sending on wave 12, but no. He goes for the greedy venture here, and the fact that he doesn't receive anything here, and that Julian is receiving something. Oh no, wait, he's receiving king ups here. FTQ is going full king ups, and so the venture of enemy will remain unpunished, despite being very weak on wave 12. So we do have the sense here trying to break Julian, forcing him out of venture, so he's the only player not getting venture. But he will be able to push a lot of workers. Oh no, wait. The Kingpin is targeted already by the 4-eye, so that is not good here. That will be a massive leak here. Or will it? He has a lot of value. he is 35 over. It's just a bit unlucky that his villain dies so early. The Foray is getting focused, but can't the color deal with it fast enough? It's still not attacking the color. It's 3 units left, and yes, it will be enough here for Julian to be holding that wave. The summons from the gate is just perfectly enough to be holding. They go for wave 12 here, trying to punish the Venture here. Greedy Venture from Toikan and FTQ. And those sands are not small. And I must say, FTQ, not looking too great on that wave. He does have the Samurai Soul, but nothing much more. Token a little bit more solid here with the Violets and the Alpha Males. So looking promising. But 3 Imps, when there's only nature defense here, might be a little bit rough here. But I do think that 3 Imps is a little bit of a mistake here from an enemy. I would have much preferred to see a Witch then paired with a single Imp and the Mole, or maybe avoid the Mole and go for more Imps. But still, Imps are pretty hard to deal with the build of Toikan. But they have a higher chance of getting picked off, as we see here, already 2 down on that side. The third is going down right now. Now there's 3 left on the other side in the split, but still clearing most of the wave. And the Violet here, surviving with almost no HP, exposes some of the nature defense, and the Mole is getting targeted right now. And another spell comes out, and very good clear from Toikan here in the end, but this does not consider the leak here from FTQ. That is quite a massive one, to be honest. He is at 116%, and that is enough damage to kill the king. And yes, the Venture is often a good play, especially if you don't if you receive a send on 11 and you build for 11, so you kind of protect yourself like that. But that is assuming that the enemy is going to do a defensive send on 11. So if this doesn't happen, then you are exposing yourself on one of your weak wave. If you see yourself weak on wave 12, Venture is often not the play, but enemy being lucky that the decision from Toikan and FTQ was to income send and king up on 11. Well, not income send, but a breaking send onto Julian. And the fact that I don't receive a send and enemy is not under pressure, it does mean that FTQ and Toikan are in danger on wave 12, despite FTQ showing a clear weakness on that wave. And he was undervalued by quite a lot as well. Yes, he gets the Samurai Soul, but that's just strictly not enough. And I do think here the send could have been better here. So we're gonna try and do a better 460 send here from enemy. And maybe this one is the best one. It's just I feel like the Witch could do a lot more here on that setup than the Imps. So we're gonna see. We're gonna just change 2 Imps for Imp for a Witch. That's the only thing we'll change. Just change 2 Imps for a Witch. Is there any stacks? No. Okay, that should be good. So we copied the build. We go to the sandbox, and we're gonna use the load option. So wave 10 send was maybe a bit of a mistake here from FTQ, but it could have been a very good idea for them to go income king ups instead of a breaking send onto Julian. So let's see here. We're gonna load the setup. Oh yeah, there's this stacks from the cats. Oh, yeah, that was fully stacked. Yeah, this one was fully stacked. And this one was the remaining amount of gold. So we're gonna go to the profile of FTQ. We're gonna check the value. Here it's 2165. We are at alright, it was 6 stack cat here, 7 stack here. We are at the exact same value. And now we're gonna see the sand. The Sen is the Witch, the Imps, the Mole, and the DT. That's the exact same Sen, we just replaced 2 Imps for a Witch. And now we'll see how this one goes. The spell was Venture, so there's no defensive option. And what the Witch will do is that it is a Frogo to deal with the Nekomatas, and the Witch is to deal with all the nature defense there is here. And now we see the Violets doing pretty well, but the Witch just go and chew everything that is exposed here. But it looks like that I've been wrong. The Imps are just more targets for the Violets, and so they cannot burst down the wave. And so only the Witch could have been... Okay, so interesting to note. The Mass Imps was the correct play here. It's a similar size and a similar size league, but yeah, it's just more effective to go for the Imps here in that situation. So good to know. So props to enemy. That was a better send that you did than I did. So on that, gonna say thank you for watching and see you on the next one.